Greetings, my name is Jeffrey Guterman, and in this presentation is an audio recording of a real psychotherapy session excerpt with Albert Ellis, arguably among the most prominent psychologists from the 20th century, demonstrating his rational emotive behavior therapy approach. Now, in this excerpt, which is about 1 minute duration, the client is myself, and the session takes place in March of 1986. Now, let me point out that my relationship with Albert Ellis has evolved through the years. Back in the 1980s, the early 1980s, I was a master's degree student in counseling, and at that time I had resonated to rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT, and in the mid-80s I had a chance to go to New York City. I was living in Florida in graduate school at the time, and I had a chance to go to New York City to the Albert Ellis Institute. At the time it was called the Institute of Rational Emotive Therapy, and actually experience Albert Ellis doing RET firsthand, which gave me immense experience in the model. So I received personal psychotherapy, but my relationship in RET, but my relationship with Albert Ellis evolved through the years in being his client, then his supervisee, then his colleague, where we debated in both print and at live workshops at the American Counseling Association's annual conventions, where we debated on topics of postmodernism and social constructionism, where I later shifted to a solution-focused model. And always now I have considered him to be my friend. Now, in this audio excerpt, again, which is about 1 minute duration, you will see Albert Ellis demonstrating an intervention, and at a theoretical level, I ask you to keep in mind the REBT's ABC theory of problem formation, where A refers to activating events, C stands for emotional behavioral consequences, and B stands for beliefs. And with regard to problem formation, irrational beliefs. So the model theorizes that A does not, activating events does not directly cause C, emotional and behavioral consequences, but rather it is largely irrational beliefs. So please observe how quickly Albert Ellis attempts to zero in on the B, the irrational beliefs. And then following the audio excerpt, I will provide further analysis of what transpired during this audio excerpt.
I don't know what to say.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Talk louder.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Right, but what are you depressed about?
Well, a series of events.
Yeah.
One was I took my car in, and I found out I had to spend over $600.
Right, so that's unfortunate, but what are you telling yourself? That it's horrible or what?
Yeah, pretty much so.
Right, so you better go back to, it's a royal pain in the ass, but I could live with it.
Well,
But you can't.
huh?
Because you can't.
Okay, a lot transpired in that 1 minute of audio. Ellis is identifying the ABCs, and in particular quickly zeroing in on the B, the irrational belief, and disputing it in his own unique way. He asks, what are you depressed about, after I identify the C, depressed, And asking what are you depressed about is his effort to identify the A, which I do in terms of my expenditure of the $600. But the A in REBT, the activating event, is not that important. Important in some cases, but in this case, in most cases, it's not that important. What is important is the B, the irrational belief. So Ellis quickly zeroes in on it by asking, what are you telling yourself? But what are you telling yourself? And he actually prompts me, the client, that it's horrible or what? So this is a technique that Ellis will use, especially with me, because he's had sessions with me, and I might be considered more of a higher functioning client among the continuum of clients, because the REBT is tailored to fit the client. So he'll prompt me here that it's horrible or what? I respond, yeah, pretty much so. And in this case, he opts not to use the Socratic method of disputation, which is using a questioning method which encourages the client to respond to questions such as, where is the evidence that it's horrible? Or to actually, the elegant approach would be to identify the must, that it must not be, in this case, that I had to spend $600 for car repair, and then get me to challenge the must, dispute it myself, and convince myself that in the end it's that I wish I didn't have to spend the money, but I do, too bad, and then feel appropriately sad but not depressed about the A. But in this case, he uses more of a coping statement method, which he would himself call probably less elegant, and falling under the rubric of general REBT rather than elegant REBT. But Ellis would say, given that I've had REBT with him, he chose to go this route. So he says, he just basically, parrots to me the rational belief, quote, it's a royal pain in the ass, but I could live with it. And that's the intervention he uses in this case.